Hi, my name is Father Charlie Bouchard, and I'm here to offer you a word of hope for Wednesday of the 23rd week in Ordinary Time. We read this familiar passage today from Paul's letter to the Colossians, in which he talks about the fact that we have died and we have been raised with Christ, things that have already taken place and which are done. But he also says that our lives are hidden with Christ in God. And then he goes on to say that it's not all done, that even though Jesus has won this salvation for us, that he has freed us from sin, we have to do our part as well. And so he tells us to put to death in ourselves all of those things that tend to squeeze out God's grace and this gift of salvation that Jesus has given to us. Make room in our lives for these realities which Christ has already won. And so he says, we lived in a certain way in the past, but now we must put all those bad habits away. Anger, fury, malice, slander, obscene language, and of course, lying to one another. All of these things that occupy the space in our soul which should be given to Jesus. Now, we realize, of course, that even though Jesus has already done this saving act, it's difficult for us to make room in our hearts for the grace of that salvation. And he goes on at the very end of this reading to say, here, as a result of this salvation, there is not Greek and Jew, circumcision and uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, slave, or free, but Christ is in all and is all. And that is, I guess, what it all comes down to. That as Christians, when we make this room in our hearts for this grace of salvation, our hearts are more open to those around us, even those whom we might not understand or might not like for all that goes. That we are called by the Lord and his gift of salvation to make room in our hearts, both for grace and for those whom God calls us to love. So let us pray today as we hear these words for greater awareness of and openness to these powerful gifts that the Lord has won for us.